In 1914, Mary Richardson, a Canadian suffragette for women's voting rights in the United Kingdom, slashed with a butcher knife the rock of Venus, a famous masterwork of Spanish painter Velázquez, exhibited in the National Gallery of London. Happily, the restoration department of the museum repaired the 7 cuts in the canvas made by the insane activist. During the trial, Richardson defended her action by criticizing not only the nudity of Venus, but also how delightfully the males admire the exhibition. Frequently, disagreements are the result of different perceptions. Well, about that subject is what I want to talk right now. Time magazine predicted in 2011 that a sharing economy would be one of the top 10 ideas which were gonna change the world. Despite this forecast, the unexpected emergence of this mode of production, distribution, and consumption of goods, services, and ideas has shocked everyone. However, we should have anticipated such a profound innovation as analog society has been shifting to digital. Since our citizens are living as global beings, sharing their tasks and putting their knowledge into networks. The new digital society requires some more efficient operational framework and a more sustainable and profitable use of resources so far either idle or underused. Thanks to technology, consumers and users have expanded from sharing music, photos, movies, digital files, and reviews on social media to also sharing items and services such as a job, a car, a drill, and, of course, a house. Thus, some people who don't understand the phenomenon or don't agree with this ask, can we even share a fridge? The answer is simple. We can't share a fridge because it's never idle. But yes, we can share many other belongings like a car, for instance, because they spend so much time, so many days parked on the street without being used. Making that unused time useful and freeing up those parking spaces is a real objective of sharing economy. In that way, we can benefit from that which otherwise has a limited value. If idleness has now gained an unprecedented value in areas outside of hotel accommodation, it's because this element was always considered a weakness in hotel management and travel consumption systems. Therefore, it was predictable that technology would come up with a way to redeem this weakness. The hotel industry used the concept of RevPAR as the standard of profitability. It's a measure linked with the idleness system. If profitability is measured by the occupancy rate, then unoccupancy is the problem to solve. A better way to avoid unoccupancy is by getting help from the same technology platforms which give value to available bed in private homes. Typically, hoteliers overbuild, thus creating a surplus in order to raise profitability. They probably should not build those extra rooms, and instead, they ought to form alliances with the non-hotel accommodation entities, for instance, the private homeowners. Someone might argue that this strategy will lead to extra business for others. Which others? The owners of private homes, for example. But we could also argue that the blindness of some analog hoteliers would be a telescope in the hands of digital hoteliers. Yeah, private rentals, which are a threat for some, could be an opportunity for those who are willing to expand beyond the old physical unit of their hotels, you know? So, a new multimodal business. Millennials, the generation which is gonna be the main force of consumption in the next decade, don't want the rigidity of today's hotels, but instead want flexible lodging for the future. For instance, hotels with double rooms, suites, and also apartments for all the family. Not necessarily in the same building. Why not establish a business unit that provided multi-space consumption patterns? That subject has brought us here today. We will discuss the opportunities offered by the idle and plentiful resources. In this digital society, the economy is not only the science of scarce resources, as David Hume or Adam Smith claimed, but also the science of abundant resources generated by data bits. Yes, should we harness the opportunities or ban them? Should we make products and services that satisfy consumers' wishes or the hotel industry desires? Do you want faster tax transparency or doom homeowners to clandestinity and tax avoidance? Should we develop urban tourism by using existing homes or build more hotels, even at the cost of maintaining a surplus in the vacant housing? In order to respond to all these upcoming challenges for the tourism industry, I'd like to request all the social, cultural, economic, and political opinions about the so-called sharing economy of tourism. First question. People with main responsibility for hospitality in the most powerful countries in the tourism industry have shown their surprise many times about the emergence of this new phenomenon, sharing economy, calling it unforeseen. Given the technological revolution and many other factors, why weren't the tourism leaders able to predict it? Second, I want to drill into the Amsterdam lodging experience. Amsterdam was one of the first cities in the world to host this kind of tourist rental. Airbnb signed an agreement with the city to collect a tourist tax of 5%, by the way, one of the highest in Europe. This agreement is the framework to home sharing regulation, in that these conditions are that the owners can only rent their primary homes and no more than 60 days per year. If they want to increase this period, their homes must be operated as a bed and breakfast establishment. How did the Amsterdammers determine this number of 60 and not 50 or 75? Why must the housing be their principal one and not a second home? Third, how do young people understand the concept of sharing consumption? Do they feel this phenomenon is a return to the collectivism of the Soviet past, or a leap forward to assuming the individual responsibility required by a liberal economy like this where we are living today. 4. Hoteliers in the whole world, not only in Europe, are demanding equal rules for everyone. But underneath, what they're really requesting is that tourist housing should submit to the hotel regulations. Could we consider just the opposite? That is, hotel might play by private home rules? Could something in between hotels and private homes be possible? And one more question. Why should there be equal rules for everyone when trends in tourism are actually hidden in another direction, that is, customization? 5th, Airbnb is becoming an ogre for the hospitality industry. Hoteliers accuse this company of fostering unfair competition, of generating an underground economy, and triggering a return to amateurism instead of professionalism by favoring homeowners over hotel staff. In fact, this gap between a hobby activity and a professional job could offer a great opportunity for hoteliers. Yes, they could manage the homes. For some owners who are not interested in dealing with the management side of things. But wouldn't Airbnb consider professionalizing the home sharing? It's another question. Is Airbnb open to one day using its platform to connect hotels and hoteliers? I have many other questions like those. We are all residents, and at the same time, we are all tourists. In modern society, there are no cities without tourists. But massive tourism is threatening the coexistence between tourists and residents. Actually, a whole lot of cities are filled with nomads moving from place to place. Hotels never succeeded in engaging with citizens because the latter didn't need or rely on them. And that's the question, would Airbnb's strategy of linking neighborhood with travelers help to convert our cities in some friendly spaces for both residents and tourists? 7. Hoteliers frequently complain that homeowners don't pay taxes. Homeowners respond that hoteliers lie because they are usually paying all the taxes owed. However, they point out that while some hoteliers do not pay taxes, some hoteliers don't either. Does the government have any statistics about homeowner tax evasion? Another question. Tax discussion seems to be centered on homeowners' non-payment, but on what kind of taxes they have to pay. Some hold the opinion that homeowners must pay the same taxes as hoteliers. Likewise, merchants are demanding they pay the same reduced type of taxes as hoteliers do. Could it be possible to balance taxations for commercial and industrial activities? More. One of the world's main challenges today is that certain destinations are being oversaturated by tourism, actually. The worst prognosis expects the number of tourists to double the next 3 decades, when the current billion will become 2 billion. Could we avoid the construction of new hotels in those destinations by using the current resident homes as temporary lodges? And finally, many people agree that business is the provision of services in exchange for money. Many also argue that homeowners should admit their business to tourism registration, which is already mandatory in some countries of the European Union. They justify this by alluding to consumers' protection rights. But actually, sharing homes are already registered on social media platforms, which are preferred by users as a safeguard of their consumption. Could we anticipate a new kind of politics in which consumer communities replace states? I know that it sounds like science fiction. Yeah. But could anyone to answer this feeling? Replacing the states? The community? Yeah. Thank you very much.